This is my first movie review. I wanted to talk about Avengers Endgame, and my reaction to this movie. I've seen it 3 times now, and it's fantastic. This movie is fucking epic. It's just one of those reactions that just gives me a reaction. Like, here was my reaction. Just this movie is amazing. The Russo brothers, Joe and Anthony Russo, just did a fantastic job directing it. Christopher Feely and James Seamus just did an amazing job writing it. And it's just one of those movies that you want to see over and over and over again. The characters are so superbly written in this film. It's just wonderful to see all of them together, and it's just one of those movies. It's just one of those movies that you just can't help but love. And especially there's so much emotion in this film. You just love every character. There's so many great scenes. I'm going to keep this as spoiler free as I can, and you just love every moment. There's so much emotionality in this film. It's just one of those films that you just love watching. You love the characters. I mean, love what happens to Thor. Love what happens to Tony Stark, aka Iron Man, Captain America. They all just get fantastic send-offs. They just the special effects are they're just amazing in this film. You just look at it and you just go, how'd you do this? I mean, I know I couldn't do it. I'm not that fucking talented, but they did it. The Russo brothers, they just pulled this off superbly. I mean, it's just there's so many good things. So let's get into it. So it takes place a few days after the snap, after Thanos' snap. So the half of humanity is gone, and so are a lot of the Avengers. It's just the original 6 left. It's just Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Black Widow. They're Black Widow, Rocket. They're all this Rocket, Captain Marvel. They're all this, and they're all that's left, and they have to figure out how to bring everybody back. And they just do it. And Scott Lang comes in. He gets out of the quantum realm. He comes back. He has an idea. They put it all together and they figure out how to do it, and they just do it geniusly. But there's so many moments in this movie that just make you feel like that you don't expect. There's just so many things happening, and there's a great scene with Tony Stark, and it reminded me of just a scene that it makes you feel like you really appreciate that character and you love him even more after that. I love the scenes with his daughter. There's just a great scene where he's figuring out something, and all of a sudden you hear behind him his little daughter say the S word, and he looks at her and goes, "Hey, you can't say that. Your mom's got patent on that. You can't say it." Then they have a great little conversation as he's leaving her bedroom. He just goes, "Go to sleep or I'll sell all your toys." It's just so Tony Stark. I love that. And there's some great just moments with Captain America. Black Widow is fantastic. Scarlett Johansson, she's just fantastic in this movie. I love it. There's a scene where she's talking to Captain Marvel, she's talking to War Machine, and she's talking to Nebula and Rocket. And then Scott Lang shows up, and he's talking about something about in the quantum realm and how they can do that, how they can do something with the quantum realm. And he goes, "I know this sounds a little unusual," and she just looks at him and just goes, "I get emails from a raccoon. There's nothing's unusual to me anymore." And there's just a lot of great character moments in this film that you just appreciate so much. There was one scene that I'm not going to give anything away, but there's one scene with Tony Stark, and it just made me really appreciate the relationship with my dad, and it was just one of those profound moments that just made me realize, yeah, I appreciate everything he did. He did his best, and it's just a wonderful moment. It's just full of moments like that. There's just one great character moment. The emotion there's one great moment after the next. It's just the emotion in this film is just there's so much going on with the characters, and I love that. Like the action just takes a back seat, but then when the action happens, it's on. Especially that last hour. It's so full of epic moments. You're just like your mouth is on the floor for like 45 minutes, and there's just so many good, again, emotional moments. They extracted as much emotional juice out of this film that I'm not surprised that it's making the money it's making. I'm not surprised people love it because it's just so good. It's just so one of those epic films. And what I love about this movie is you could never have seen another Marvel movie ever And you could see this one and you would just absolutely love it. It's so enjoyable. It's just one of those movies you bring tissues because you're gonna cry for. There are a few moments you're definitely gonna tear up, especially the ending. Everybody gets a great send off. Thor gets a great send off. Tony gets a great send off. Captain America gets a fantastic send off. A lot of unexpected good twists and turns you don't see coming. And there's one moment especially did not see it coming, and it was pretty powerful. I love also another character. I haven't talked about Bruce Banner yet, and I love what they did with him. You know, he figures out how to be both the Hulk and Bruce Banner. And he says, "I can be both the brain and the brawn." And takes a picture with these selfies with these kids, and he goes, "Hulk out." And it's just so sweet, so such a good moment. And there's like I said, there's just full of great moments like that. There's a lot of good surprises, a lot of good spoilers that I'm not going to give you, but you know, I mean, I love the fact that the Russo brothers shot this whole movie in 65 millimeter IMAX cameras, and the whole movie is in IMAX, and it's even more breathtaking to see it in IMAX. So see it in IMAX because that's just the best way to see it. And it's just the writing, you know, these characters that we've known for like 11 years, and there's a lot of there's a lot of references to the other films. Like I said, you don't have to see the other films to enjoy this film, but there's a lot of great Easter eggs. If you're a fan, if you've been following these movies since, you know, Iron Man for the last 11 years, you'll get all the references. They're fantastic, and there's just a great payoff. This to me is like one of the best franchise send-offs I've ever seen. I mean, it's just one of those things that it all comes together, everything comes to fruition. It's just one of those movies you can't help but love it. You just can. And there's so many, and what great performances by everybody, by Robert Downey Jr., Mark Ruffalo, Chris Hemsworth, Scarlett Johansson, Jeremy Renner. What I love the art that happens with Jeremy Renner's character, where like you see his family get wiped out in the snap, and he's just lost it. He's lost his soul. He's become just an assassin, and he's basically the Ronin. He's Ronin. He becomes Ronin from the comic books, and he's just lost. And you just see how the whole snap has affected everybody. Everybody's lost something. They've all lost friends. They've all lost family, and their just whole thing is just to get it back together and figure out how to bring everybody back because they've all lost their way, and it's so cool to see them like what would planet Earth look like if half the population just disappeared. It's just fantastic. And there's a great scene where Captain America comes to talk to Black Widow, and he says, "I was on my way over the bridge, and in the Hudson River, I saw a pod full of whales." And she goes, "You don't see that every day." He goes, "Yeah, the water's cleaner. There's a lot less boats." So it's kind of like the balance of like half of humanity's gone, the environment improves. It's kind of a profound scene. I would love to have seen the whales. That would have been cool. But anyways, it's just one of those moments of like they're talking, and Captain America does like a survival group with the remaining people in New York City, and they're all talking, and one guy goes on a date with a guy, and he goes, "I didn't cry till I got the salads," and then he says, "Did you cry?" And Captain America asks him, "Did you cry?" He goes, "No, I cried on desserts," and he goes, "We cried how much we all miss the Mets." Yeah, it's just little moments like that, just how much you miss. You just don't realize how much you miss baseball till the team's gone and there's nobody around. And it's just one of those just fantastic movies, and it's something that, I mean, this has become one of my favorite movies of all time. I'd rank it up there with The Dark Knight and Iron Man, and just what a great franchise this has been. I mean, over the last 11 years, you see these characters just evolve from Iron Man 2008 to right now to Endgame. And what great actors. I never thought they couldn't have picked better actors to be in these films, especially Robert Downey Jr. You look at him now, and he's one of the most respected actors of his generation and one of the most successful. But you think back to like when the first Iron Man came out, everybody was kind of really iffy on him being Tony Stark and Iron Man because of his past and all the controversy that had gone on in his career in the '90s, and all the time, you look at him now. He's one of the best actors of his generation, one of the best actors out there right now. And then you can't help but think about 20 years ago when he was doing, every time we turned around, it seemed like a year didn't go by when he wasn't getting busted.